Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde return for a brand new case, and this adventure pushes them far beyond what they're used to. But the big question still stands. Does this sequel live up to the original, or maybe even top it? Let's get started on my review of Zootopia 2. Let's go. What's going on my beautiful people? This is JC, and I just got back from watching Zootopia 2. Now, before I do get started with my review, please note this will be a spoiler-free review, just in case you haven't seen it yet, currently showing in theaters. Please make sure you hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell to stay up to date on more new Disney movies that I'm reviewing just like this. Also, it would mean the world to me, you guys, if you were to subscribe to my members only on YouTube, which is kind of like a Patreon, but you'll get access to new videos, exclusive videos, even reviews that are nostalgic, some that are out reviewing new shows, also some horror reviews, because if you guys have not noticed, my passion really lies in animation and a lot of cartoons, and that's pretty much what I've been focusing on. But if you want to see some horror reviews, definitely check out my members only. You also get some discounts on merch, and you guys will also be able to pick the topics for some of my newest videos. So please make sure you go and do that. All you have to do is hit that join on the video, then go through the process, and after that you will be a member. All right, I got 3 tiers. Please make sure you go and do that. Also, since it is Black Friday and it's getting closer to the holidays, I do have an Amazon link at the bottom. I am an affiliate. I made my own storefront, which is pretty new to me, but if you guys are looking for any kind of discounted 4K or Blu-ray movies, even DVDs of your favorite cartoon series, which is what I love to get my family members during the holidays, especially my brothers, go and check out that link. All right, so Zootopia 2. Man, I remember when this first one came out a few years ago, I loved it. I mean, it was probably my surprise film of that year when it came out. It brought so much joy for me to see a different, unique story that Disney brought out, and also having a lot of comparability between the animals and societal issues, a lot of social commentary in a movie that I did not expect. So when they announced that part 2 was coming out, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little leery because I thought, well, what are you gonna talk about in part 2? I hope they can really blend in some of those elements just like they did in part 1. And suffice to say, you guys, coming out of this theater, I was pretty satisfied. You'll definitely enjoy this. Now, Zootopia 2 brings Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde back for another case, and this time their investigation pushes them into new parts of the animal world, which is one of my favorite parts about this film. Not only do they go into depth when it comes to Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde and some of their dynamic, even their background, but also building this world of Zootopia up. I love seeing the different parts of the city, especially seeing some of these different reptilian creatures, also some sea creatures. It was just really refreshing to see, and I definitely want to see more of it. And this sequel explores areas outside the original city, including deserts, snowy mountains, and coastal zones that are home to water mammals, and even features some scenes where they're trying to communicate with some of these mammals. Now, their mission starts with a small clue, but quickly turns into a bigger mystery connected to Zootopia's past, and that's pretty much all I'm gonna say, you guys. It's kind of a synopsis of the movie, but I definitely got more than what I was expecting, just like the first one. Now, there is certain parts though in the middle where I feel like the plot does get a little busy, and you're thinking, okay, I'm trying to follow up with a lot of these things, and what is the core message or the heart of this film? But as the third act rolls around, it really does come together pretty well. Within that, you get a lot of funny parts. That's one thing that I wasn't expecting watching this movie. There was a lot of comedic puns in here and a lot of funny, lighthearted moments. Now, for a Disney movie, that's not a big issue with me, especially when you know you're gonna get a lighthearted, kid-like type of energy to a film. But I loved how they kind of brought a lot more of that in and still didn't get away from some of the heartfelt moments. While it doesn't hit the same emotional highs of the first movie, it still delivers good momentum, charming moments, and an easy to follow mystery. I loved how the first 2 acts, especially the first act, really reminded me of a buddy cop film, and I like seeing more of that dynamic unravel when it comes to Nick Wilde and Judy Hopps. And you see how they're pretty much polar opposites, just like in part 1, but more in the job field, which is pretty cool to see. Now, we do got to talk about the cast as well. The returning cast gives strong performances once again. Jennifer Goodwin continues to bring Judy's hopeful spirit to life, while Jason Bateman nails Nick's laid-back but loyal personality. He was probably my favorite character out of part 1, and I think that stands still with part 2. Although you do get some pretty funny side characters and some guest appearances with voices that I thought, wait, I recognize that. And it was pretty cool to see that throughout the movie, and it wasn't just pointless type of guest appearances or animals that you see in here and you're thinking, what was the point of that? Everything really connected pretty well for the most part. So with the addition of these new characters, it adds fresh energy, especially the pit viper Gary, aka played by Kiwi Kwan. I felt like he embodied the viper pretty well because it not only fits that type of voice, but even with his innocence and the way the character starts to come into his own. The conspiracy podcaster Nibbles, aka played by Fortune Feimster, and Paubert the Awkward Lynx, played by Andy Samberg, kind of threw me off hearing his voice, but I love seeing some of those side characters really complement Judy and Nick. Now, Patrick Warburton was someone that I did not expect to see as the mayor, and he was pretty much a standout for me as far as the side characters. Not only do I love his voice, always reminds me of Joe Swanson from Family Guy or even Buzz Lightyear, some of these other voices that he's done over the years, but I loved how his character was kind of like a model and really like a pretty boy, and his deep voice, along with his comedic timing, fit the flashy horse character perfectly. Even though some fan favorite side characters don't get as much screen time as before, aka the mice family that mirrors The Godfather, it was still cool to see them make guest appearances, and the overall voice work stays expressive and natural. Now, one thing I do want to talk about too in this video, which I was pleasantly surprised that I'm gonna get to talk about, is the puns and a lot of Easter eggs that you get in this movie. I mean, a lot of it moves pretty quickly, so every time I saw something that reminded me of something in pop culture or something that was pretty funny and had like a pun that was connected to animals or mammals, I thought, wait, and then the movie just kind of rolls along. So this is one of those movies for sure. I feel like you can watch again, whether with the kiddos or not, and pick up on little things, and I love that. But just like the first movie, it's packed with clever animal jokes and hidden references. Now, one thing I will say though is there is more of an abundance of these puns, especially from Jason Bateman's character, Nick Wilde. And I know some people have gripes about it. A lot of my other fellow movie critics had some issues with it, but I thought it was pretty funny, and it kept the movie and the pace moving along. The movie is constantly throwing in funny signs, brand parodies, one that I did not expect about Coca-Cola, as well as Hungry Hippos. And once you guys see it, trust me, you'll know. And then it has a lot of quick gags, from food trucks to streaming platforms like YouTube and Hulu Zoo. The film even sneaks in nods to classic horror moments and well-known detective stories. And I did appreciate that. It gave this movie some layers. And I was always watching this, I actually looked over to the side where there was a family next to me that was watching it with their parents, and of course it was some adults with their kids, and it looked like they were all genuinely having a good time, not just the kids. But some of these jokes fly by fast, like I previously stated, so you'll definitely want to pay attention, and just like I almost failed to do, please be careful on how much soda you drink or whatnot and wanting to go to the bathroom, because yes, I was like holding it in because I was like, this is so enjoyable. But kids will enjoy the silly wordplay, and adults will appreciate more subtle references tucked into the backgrounds. The puns are one of the movie's biggest strengths and help keep the world lively. But it is, I do acknowledge, one of those double-edged swords where either you'll find it pretty hilarious and clever, or you will kind of find it annoying, because there is an overabundance in this movie compared to the first one. Now, another thing we have to talk about is the animation, you guys, because what would this video be if I was not talking about animation, especially because that's one of the things I love talking about on this channel. But the animation builds on the bright style of the first film, but adds more detailed lighting, bigger environments, and sharper textures. The new locations like the snowy mansion, the desert zone, and the water tube chase sequence, which was probably one of my favorite sequences as well, shows off how much Disney's animation has improved in the years since the original releases. And movement is smooth, the world feels huge, and many scenes have small touches that make them feel believable. The action scenes are easy to follow and use visual humor well. Even though the first film still feels slightly more polished overall, this sequel remains visually impressive and full of creativity. Another thing that I was surprised about as the movie went on too is, for a Disney film, I thought, man, there's not very much music in here aside from the songs that Shakira gives you. Which in the first one, if you guys recall, she is the gazelle in there, and in this one as well, but you don't have a lot of musical numbers, which I thought was pretty cool. But nonetheless, it doesn't detract from any of the story. With all that being said, you guys, I'm gonna give Zootopia 2 4 flames out of 5 and a fire film rating.
It's good. It's good.
Zootopia 2 doesn't reach the same level as the first movie, in my opinion, of course, because I just love that first film. I also feel like there is a twist in here, and I feel like it was a little predictable, at least for me. Maybe I could be wrong though, but nonetheless, it's still a solid sequel with fun jokes, strong voice acting, lively animation, and a warm message about friendship and understanding. It's packed with enough excitement and humor to make it a worthwhile watch for families and longtime fans alike. Now, you guys should definitely give this a watch, especially over the holiday weekend or when you get the chance, because this one was for sure good, and I'm excited to see if they make a part 3 and what the plot will be for that one. But alright guys, have you seen Zootopia 2 yet? If you have, let me know what you thought of it overall in the comments below. And last thing before I do go, you guys, please make sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell to stay up to date. My name is Jason, and until next time, I'm out.